Okay, I think we finished up on a good note today. It was important to me that the guys came out here and with some energy and worked hard. It was good to have our alumni players come out for the barbecue. Like I told the team, it's important to me that we honor the guys that have come before us and allowed us to continue to do what we love to do. And so that was nice to have those guys out here. I think we had a good spring. We're still got a long ways to go from where we need to be, but I thought the new things we looked at on defense and the installation on offense and the way that we paid emphasis on special teams was good. So I'm looking forward to get back to having a great training camp here and a little time off, and then get ready to go for the season.
Mike, on a personal note, as you look at these next 2 weeks, do you think there'll be a few 24, 48-hour periods where you just eliminate football? Is that what's
Um,
planning?
it's a good question. Typically, I try to do that, um, but like this morning, I had Nick, one of our assistant linebacker coach, put a bunch of teams on an iPad for me, and some other things that I'm looking at. So I'll go through the cut ups from the spring on some of the things that we did, and so I don't know how much time. Today I'm probably going to be done with football today, but um, I know that when I'm sitting back there in Kentucky, I'll probably get the iPad out a decent amount. Yeah.
Always something that jumps into your mind, even if your intent is almost to take the whole day off?
Yeah, I mean, you can't get away from it too much, especially if you're around here now. Getting a chance to get away a little bit, I think that helps to not be as focused on football as you really want to be. But um, I was thinking about that this morning. Just okay, I got to make sure that I have this because there's something I want to look at here. There's something I want to look at there, and so I put a bunch of stuff in my bag today.
Like at the end of spring, how do you feel about where the offense is at as far
Well,
as
right now the defense is ahead of the offense just because of the fact that they've been together for so long, um, and we have good players there as well. But I like a lot of things. I think I have a good feel of who we can be offensively, and the strengths that we have with the personnel, and also some of the weaknesses that we may end up having to try to avoid. And so I think that has helped kind of figure out exactly where we are at the offense. I talked to both Kevin and Gary this morning about their evaluations of the spring and you know how I see things, how they see things, and we talked some about personnel as well.
what do you enjoyed most just about having Gary on the staff and working with him the last few months?
It's been outstanding for me because we can go back and talk about Dallas and San Francisco. The way that the offense has been installed, all the things with Mike when he was working for Mike Shanahan, and the things that Mike used to tell him when he was a coordinator. And then, like this morning, I talked to him about some head coach things that, when you were in Houston, what did you do, or Denver or whatever. And so, I think all that's, and he's an unbelievably great person. Uh, he's he's an excellent football coach. I think he does a great job not only with the offense but quarterbacks as well, and so it's been really good.
Mike, what are the challenges with a quarterback who's been a multiple year starter and maybe trying to stray away from some habits, maybe trying to break some old habits as they've been a starter more years? Is it more difficult when they kind of get in certain habits that you try to get them away from?
Well, I think it's important that you can help them with a lot of those things with scheme. Um, I think Kirk had a really good spring. I think he did some really good things, and some of the things that we felt like he needed to work on, he was working on them. Um, uh, we gave him a lot of different looks, things that um, people attacked us with their defenses last year, and so we put some stuff in just so we can get some earlier looks at it and wait until week one when we're playing Atlanta or whatever. So, um, but it's like every player, there's certain ways you want things done, and you're going to coach them into doing those things. But no, I don't. I mean, they're all really receptive to coaching and the way that you um, try to get them better, and that's really what all we try to do with everybody.
Mike, with such a veteran defense, does it allow you to move faster these last few days? And just looking at depending on training camp, can things happen quicker than maybe would with a more beatable squad?
Well, typically we have less mistakes because if you put something new in, you have less mistakes because they've been doing it for so long and they've communicated for a long time. Barr and Kendricks being able to talk in the defensive line. LJ wasn't out there, but um, the secondary guys are pretty much the same guys. So they're good communicators and that helps a lot. And really they're smart guys, so that helps as well.
What was kind of your when you say you're putting in looks from other defenses? Is that primarily to get Kirk kind of used to multiple looks defenses? Or are they also looking
Well,
to
we
install him?
yeah, we look at them, but like there's been some times we put some coverage periods in that other teams are running, and just so he can get a look, so the receivers can get a look, and um, so it's a little bit of both. Probably a little more for them, but it's not it's good for us too. You know, these guys have been running the same stuff for 5 years, coverage wise, so it's good for them, and it's good for me to look at some other aspects of coverages and things like that.
What was kind of your message to players in terms of staying in shape and things you want them to do between now and the end of mini camp and the start of training camp?
Yeah, I don't really want to talk about what I talk to the players about. They know what I expect. So
To be, you mentioned how like defense is further along in the offense right now, and it's probably been that way maybe the last few years as you've had a new offensive coordinator the last few years. Does that make you more confident knowing that it will eventually work itself out once you get back here in training camp that it does kind of level off, knowing that you've gone through this before?
yeah, well, some of the things they're doing are very hard on us, which is great for us defensively. But yeah, we are a little bit ahead of them. In uh, some of the terminology is new for the offense, and where it's not really new much for us on defense. Um, and I guess when I say that, like they might give us some formation that we haven't seen, and our guys can adjust to it just because they've seen it and done it before. Maybe not this spring, but they've seen it and done it before. So, um, I mean, that's kind of what I mean. They don't fool us much by formations, whereas maybe if we were newer, um, we'd have a harder time lining up to it.
How do you think O'Neal did this spring and see him taking even another step next season after the strong way he was last season?
Well, I hope so. These young players, they all got to come along fast, and he's another guy that we need to get him uh, focused in on what exactly we want to get him, we want him to get better at, and he's got a lot of work to do too.
Mike, do you use some of this off time coming up to think a little bit about how you're going to use at least some of your players in preseason games, or is that not on your
Yeah, I probably won't worry too much about that yet for until we get back to camp, and because so many things happen, you get injuries and you get, but when we get back, we'll probably after 5 or 6 days, we'll sit down and I'll talk to the offensive guys and see what they how they feel about how much work do we need against somebody else, and um, kind of go from there.
Mike, with you being such a younger play caller and still new at this, how is Gary in the early stages of him being here helping kind of find his own identity offensively when he wants to be the play caller?
Yeah, I think they work together really good, and I think I mean just sitting in the rooms with them, the way they communicate, and Kevin will have his own take on things, but Gary will be able to help him with certain things. No different than when I was a first coordinator. I remember Parcells yelling at me a lot, but actually I was already coordinator before then. But he would yell at me a lot.
You obviously talked about running the ball, wanting to do that along the way this
I want
season.
to be balanced.
Okay, right. Better running the ball, but how has the depth of your running back core looked from your standpoint throughout spring? You guys are already behind that.
I think it's good. I think Cook has had a really really good spring. He looks Gary and I were talking about him this morning. He looks really, really good, especially in the things we're trying to do in the running game. Um, and Boone and Rock Thomas and Madison, they're all still learning, so they got some work to do. But I think C.J. Ham's had a nice spring, so.
When you
Time for two more for Coach.
along the defensive line, it seems like over the last couple of years, not just rookie years, you've brought in a lot of players that you consider kind of undersized for defensive line positions. What do you do defensively that allows you to kind of overcome, the disadvantages?
Uh, I mean, I don't think we go into anything looking for an undersized guy. We're always looking for size. Um, he was a guy that was a playmaker in college that we had to find. First we tried him in linebacker when he came in, and then that was completely foreign to him. So we moved him back to his college position, and and I think Andre does a great job teaching him. In my opinion, he's the best defensive line coach in the NFL, and so I think his work with his technique and getting the hands and the feet and everything he has to do in the right place and the way we try to teach him how to rushing quarterback. I think is that's part of it as well. But um, I've said this before, and I'm not comparing him, but when we drafted Geno Atkins in Cincinnati, or when we brought Leroy Glover in when I was in Dallas, uh, these were guys that we thought, okay, these guys can be nickel pass rushers, right? And so they can be a little bit more undersized. And and then Geno eventually, he became a full-time player. So um, there are certain roles for guys that you look for. I think Rick and the scouts, it's always what's your vision for the player? How do you see this player? And that's kind of what we try to do with our guys.
Last one.
Excuse me? Yeah, I think he's a good football player. Um, he obviously is still learning a lot of the places to line up and where to go, but been a guy that's caught our eye, right from rookie minicamp, really. Um, Catches the ball well, works hard. I think he's a pretty smart guy, but you see the the wiggle in him as well. Okay, thank you.